welcome back to the other side. I am so excited. I am going to share with you what I learned in 2024 and tell you how I'm stepping into 2025. So if you want some inspiration and motivation, stay tuned because I got it all for you today. Before I get started, though, I do want to dedicate this episode to a friend now. She is a young woman that I like to say is my angel on earth. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, when I started this podcast, it wasn't something that I really wanted to do. It was something that I felt called to do because I wanted so badly to give back. And when I was down, as I mentioned in my previous podcast, watching podcasts helped me. So, I started the podcast and I was doing it and getting guests, and it takes time and it takes money, it takes effort because you have to prepare, right? You can't just get on and do it. Like there's time and there's thinking and there's preparation. And so I'm sitting there one day in my room and I'm thinking, okay, Lord, it's been a couple months now. I only did this because I felt like you told me to do it. And where am I going with this? Like, why am I doing this? And it wasn't my thought because I knew why I was doing it. I was doing it to help other people. But everybody's always asking, well, why are you doing it? Where are you hoping to go with it? And I'm kind of thinking like, oh, I don't know, I just want to help people. So I'm sitting there praying and I'm kind of done praying and I go on with my day. And later that day, or I'm not kidding, it felt like instantly because I get this text message. So I'm dedicating this episode to Michelle, my angel on earth, because at that moment I needed an answer. She popped up out of nowhere and she says, Anita, I know that you're very busy, but I watch and follow your podcast. I have met you at a mental health fair and we talked about your husband who is in his addiction. I just wanted you to know that you are quite an amazing woman and you are an inspiration to me. It just goes to show that if your husband went through close to $1 million in his addiction of meth, it is quite the disease, and I am now 10 months clean, and I consider myself one of the lucky ones who's not stuck and who has not given up on them or himself. And I love the way that you have started a podcast to heal yourself as well as others. God bless you, and you keep doing what you're doing because you give people hope. Whatever they're going through, there is a way out. Can you imagine? I sat there like in awe, like, really, Lord? Wow, you answered my question so swiftly. You're just amazing, right? And it's not the first time that he's done that for me. He's done it multiple times. And that's what makes me so brave, because I know that I'm different. I know that I'm not like your average bear, because all of my life, I feel like I've been fighting to stay who I am in this world that is trying to mold you into what they think you should be or what you need to be, right? So, of course, then I sit with that and I'm like, well, what makes you you, Anita? Like, how did you get so brave? How did you become so different? Because, I like to learn and especially about myself. I've become on this huge healing journey and this learning journey of what makes me me and what makes me tick and what turns me off, what turns me on, all the good things, right? My soul, what sets my soul on fire. And I started thinking, and it was like, wow. And I kind of laughed when I thought about it. I said, okay, now maybe my mom will watch a podcast because I'm actually going to give her credit. I just turned 54 and I realize, because we always do go back to our childhood, that it's the things that happened in our childhood that molded us to who we are today, right? Well, my mom had me when I was shy. So when I was little, I walked with my head to the side and down. And so she put me in modeling. She wanted me to be confident. So she put me in modeling. She put me in tap. She put me in ballet. She put me in drama. She had all in me and all these little things. And I also remember this one book. So I'm going to read a book to you guys right now. It's a short kids book, But it really made an impact on my life because I'm telling you, I'm 54 now and I still remember this book. And you'll see why. It's a simple children's book, but the message is it's great. So it's called Could Be Worse, and it's by James Stevenson. Here we go. It won't take too long. So at Grandpa's house, things were always the same. Grandpa always had the same thing for breakfast. Every day he read the same paper. And he always said the same thing. Could be worse. Grandpa, that awful dog ate the sofa cushion again. Could be worse. No matter what, Grandpa said the same thing. I got a splinter in my finger, Grandpa. Could be worse. My bike has a flat and my sneakers have a hole and I lost my kite in the tree, Grandpa. Could be worse. One day, Mary Ann said, how come Grandpa never says anything interesting? Well, I guess it's because nothing interesting ever happens to him, said Louie. Well, Grandpa was listening at the window. So the next morning, while Grandpa's reading the paper, he says to the kids, guess what? Last night when I was asleep, a large bird pulled me out of bed and took me for a long ride. It dropped me in the mountains. And then I heard a noise. It was the abominable snowman with the huge snowball, which he threw at me. I got stuck inside the snowball, which rolled down the mountain. I finally landed on the desert and began to melt. I walked across the desert. Suddenly, I heard footsteps coming nearer and nearer. A moment later, I got squished by a giant something or other. Before I could get up, I heard a strange noise. A great bob of marmalade was coming toward me. It chased me across the desert until I crashed into something tall. It was sort of like an ostrich. It was very cross. It gave me a big kick, and I went all the way up to the storm clouds. I almost got hit by lightning. I fell out of the clouds and landed in the ocean. I sank down about a mile to the bottom. I saw an enormous goldfish coming at me. I swam away as fast as I could and hid under a cup that had air in it. When it was safe, I crawled out. I started to walk by my foot, but my foot got stuck in the grip of a gigantic lobster. And, missed a page, in the grip of a gigantic lobster. I didn't know what to do, but just then a big squid came along and squirted black ink all over the lobster. I escaped and hitched a ride on the sea turtle that was going to the top for a bit of sunshine. I was fortunate to find a piece of toast floating by the road to shore, where I discovered a newspaper. I quickly folded it into an airplane, and I flew across the sea and back home to bed. Now, what do you think about that? The kids looked at Grandpa, and they ran up to him, and they said, it could be worse. A simple children's book. It could be worse. But the reality is it could always be worse. You know, I came on here and I was going to wish everybody happy holidays. And I realized, the holidays aren't happy for everybody, right? And I know that, and I empathize with that. So I want to give you hope that if you're happy, holidays weren't so happy, trust me, that will change. Because last year, I ditched Christmas altogether. I didn't even celebrate. And this year was a happy holiday. So when I say it gets better, you have to trust me that it gets better. So that's some inspiration for you to know that it gets better. Okay, so what I learned a lot of things, you guys. I learned that I am even more freaking resilient than I thought, because I'm telling you, when I started this podcast, watch last year's update. It wasn't as confident at all because I wasn't confident at all. But another year's gone by and I've learned so many new things and I've been through so many more trials, and it has made me that much more resilient. And even starting real estate when I did, I'm telling you, when I started real estate, I was in a bad place, but I knew that I needed something, right? And like I said, I joined Toastmasters, I joined book club, I joined Bible study. I moved. I ran towards anything that could help me. And it worked. It worked because running towards those things helped me find a lot of the things that I love and that I just adore today that I'm doing. And one of them is this. But when I started real estate, it was different for me. I never liked sales, even though I was in sales before, but it's a different animal. Like, you don't just know sales. And if you grew up having a bad connotation about, salespeople, the last thing you want to do is be that person. So you do everything you can to not be that person, but it's a block, right? It's a block in your growth. So learning all the new things helped me with that block. But in learning, I'm going to tell you, I started I trained at one company, and then I knew I didn't want to work there, and I found another company to work at. And I loved that company. That's where I grew, really grew. But when I decided to leave that company, I got a lot of shit. Like, I got a lot of crap from other people, telling me to be loyal, and I mean, I literally like blocked people off of social media because they were coming at me for living my life, right? For doing my own thing. One, what gives anybody the right to tell you what to do if they're not paying your bills? They can give you advice. They can maybe help mentor you, but it was like bully style. I'm not even joking. And I was already down and out. So this was like one of the first or maybe second decisions, right? The first decision was to join all those groups and to join real estate. And now this is like another big decision. Like, you know what? I'm gonna move. I'm gonna move companies. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna grow. I want to learn new things. But it was amazing to me how that it just really like ruffled a lot of feathers, and maybe because I was loud and proud about it, but I could do whatever in the hell I want, right? I mean, I'm grown. And I know what my intent is. My intention is never to hurt or harm. So I have nothing to feel guilty or bad about. But, whatever reason, people felt the need, it felt like a gang. I swear, I felt like I was leaving a gang. And it was like, don't forget where you came from. And I'm thinking, what the hell? Like, oh, I know where I came from. I came from Jesus. Okay. So don't even give me that shit. Don't forget where you came from. And look, I am that person that left jobs every 2 years. Okay. I'm that person that talked about money. I'm that person that wanted to make sure that if you weren't going to give me that raise, I was going to find another job and I was going to find somebody else who appreciated me and the job I did to pay me what I deserved, right? So I've always been this person. But when I got married and when everything was chaotic, I lost I lost me. Like, I lost my strength, I lost my instincts, and that's what I was most pissed off about, was the idea that I was losing my connection, because the instincts is your connection. Don't ever get it twisted. It is your connection, and my connection is strong, you guys. When my nephew passed, I am not lying when I say I laid on that kitchen floor, sat there Indian style, politically incorrect, I apologize. Um, but yeah, sat there crying, devastated, praying to every single dead family member and friend I could think of up in heaven, and imagined them coming down and cloaking me with their huge angel wings. And I am not kidding you when I tell you I walk with the posse of angels. Like, I walk with the posse of angels. I know it. They show me numbers every day, and it's even funny because people think I'm crazy, and I don't even care, because you know what? I am so crazy that I got pulled over the other day and I was speeding, okay? And it's the holidays, and I was in my holiday outfit, and I get pulled over, and I pull over and I get my license, and I'm like, "You're going to let me go. You're going to let me go. You're going to let me go." And I open the window. I give him my license, and he says, "Where are you going?" I said, "Home." He said, "Where are you coming from?" I said, "An event. I'm in real estate." And I said, "An event for the chamber." And he goes, "Okay, be careful." You let me go. So when I say I walk with the posse of angels, I believe it and I see it. So believe it and you will see it. And don't let anybody bully you or hold you back from growing, from learning, from taking a chance. You guys, there's so many people who are terrified to take a chance. I'm terrified to take chances. I was so nervous today. Like, it helps that I know, like, I have somebody to talk to, right? Michelle? And everybody else out there who's told me that they watch the podcast and that they're getting something out of it and to keep going and to keep doing it. So, when you ask for messages and you ask for confirmation, you're going to get it, you guys. But you have to want it and you have to ask because our angels cannot intervene unless we ask them. Their hands are tied. They can watch, they can shake their head. And I'm telling you, so many times I can imagine mine was like, what the hell are you doing? Again? But once I called on them and once I see it. So believe it and you will see it. Don't shrug off those messages. Don't shrug them off as coincidences because they're going to lead you into your purpose. You know, I also was laughing because I was always called a runner. Well, when I would leave those jobs and when I would leave relationships, people called me a runner. They said I gave up too soon, that I quit too soon, or I quit on people too soon. My ex used to tell me that I cut people off, and my response would be, some snakes need to be cut off at the head. Like we need to know when to move on, and I believe that the only reason why I stayed married with my ex so long was because I needed to prove to myself and others that I wasn't a runner, that I was just freaking smart and that I could smell the shit as soon as it started to stink and that I knew when it was time to get out. But you know what? I didn't want any regrets. I didn't want any questions. I didn't want to quit too soon. So I knew that it was also a learning curve, right? Not to mention, where in the hell was I going to go? You guys, I wasn't working. I didn't have any freaking money. He paid all the bills. Like I was that girl. Like I gave into that love. And I mean, who wants to be responsible for freaking bills? Like I was a single mother for a very long time. I had to be responsible for a very long time. So to be able to trust somebody and to be able to, believe I'm going to be married forever and trust my husband, like that was a good feeling. Did I kind of get screwed in the end? Yes and no. I never have regrets because you know what? I lived an amazing life and I learned so much even after. I learned how much more resilient I was because when I kicked his butt out of the house, I'm going to say when God kicked the demon out of the house because that guy was possessed, he also took care of me. He took care of me the same way he'll take care of you. But faith is hard and trusting the process is difficult. But can you feel my strength, you guys? Like, can you feel it? Like, shit, I did it. Like, I'm literally like, I thought I was on the other side last year. I'm like on the other side of the other side now, which is so empowering. You have no idea. And, I've been like, still making decisions, right? That change when I left the first office, I learned so much. Like I'm really ahead of the game. I mean, I'm 5 years in real estate and I know a lot more than a lot of people that have been in real estate, a really long time. And that's only because I took a chance on myself. And I didn't allow anybody to bully me or to scare me into staying in the same place that maybe they've been for a long time. Like I don't know anybody's reason for doing what they do, But, you know, I don't give a shit because it's my life, right? So why they're doing what they're doing doesn't matter to me. I just got to keep doing what I'm doing and what I feel that I need to do. And that's what I felt that I needed to do at the time. And I did it. And I learned. Did it work out for long term? Nope. No, it didn't. I actually saw some things that I really didn't like in the business, in some people, but I also saw some amazing things that I loved in the business and in people. You know, so you take what you learn and you move on, right? So that's exactly what I did. I made a decision, like, I still want to do this, so I'm gonna leave this person. I'm going to go here for a minute because I know I'm gonna leave here, so I didn't wanna go somewhere that I really wanted to stay because I knew it was just transition. And then I went back to the other place and I learned more and I met more people and I created a whole new network of my own. And now I'm actually, believe it or not, I just went back to the place that I started where the people tried to bully me. And I could have even been afraid to go back there, right? I could have sat back and thought, oh, I'm not going backwards. Like they try to talk shit, or, they're going to think I failed. They're going to like, oh, you came back. But you know what? Once again, the only relationship that ever mattered to me was the relationship between me and the broker, because he's the one that I'm doing business with. These other people, they're just like me. They're self-employed. They're employees. They don't matter to me. So their opinion of me doesn't matter. His opinion of me mattered because he's the one that I'm dealing with and he's my business partner in this, right? They're not. They are in a sense because we do business together, but when it comes to like, like the meat, right? He's the meat. They're like side dish. So the only person that mattered to me in that situation was him. And you know what? He was so happy to have me back. And I was so happy to be back. And honestly, in my whole little real estate adventure in this 5 years, ending back there for the beginning of my 2025, the end of my 2024, like it was like going back home and putting on a cozy blanket, but in the environment that I know, like I am going to thrive. And you guys, I already met a wonderful man that, cold calling, just working, that, needs to sell and he needs to sell next year. And his brother in law needs to sell next year. And believe it or not, he even told me that he watched the podcast and he's just like, can't believe how we were aligned. But you know what? God works in mysterious ways, you guys. And all we need to do is exactly what I've been telling myself. Show up. Show up, Anita, and do the work, and God will do his part. You do your part, God will do his part. Guess what? I'm doing my freaking part, and God's showing up, and he's doing his part. So show up and do your part and watch him do his part. Because again, they can't do their part unless we're doing our part, and they can't intervene unless we ask. So we have to stay connected, and we have to stay freaking connected. That's all I can say. We have to stay connected. We have to believe. We have to stay disconnected from the world because it's freaking loud. And we have to stay connected to our third dimension. And as crazy as that may sound to you, it's a fact. So the sooner you like get it and live it, the sooner you're going to see the fruits of that belief and that drive and that desire. You're going to feel it. You're going to be excited. And that's what we need to do to manifest, right? We need to feel it. Like we need to feel that feeling of accomplishment because that's what's going to give us the drive to chase it. And I'm not kidding when I say I celebrate every win. That's also what I learned. Celebrate every single win. I don't care how big or small it is. I don't care if you're selling millions of dollars, if you're in sales, if you're the best mom, sending lunches that are shaped like little animals to school. All that matters is that you're trying to do better every day, because 1% every day adds up. 1% every day adds up. So you have to keep showing up, and you'll see the difference. The other thing I wanted to share is, everybody asks your why. What's your why? That's what's going to keep you motivated. Find your why. And I see so many people lost. Like, I don't know my why. Like, what's my why? I don't know. The advice that I can give you: don't chase your why, but run from your why not. Run from what you don't want. You don't need to know where you're going. You just need to know what you don't want. And you need to run and run as fast as you can from what you don't want. And I promise that eventually you're going to run into what you do want. You're going to run into what you love. I ran from my house. I ran from my ex. I ran to an office and ran into the arms of Toastmasters and book club and Bible study. And that's where I found my voice, you guys. I found my voice. I found my voice, because you know what? Like, in Toastmasters, you learn how to give a speech, right? You learn how to watch your so's and your I's and your ands and your rights and, you like and your likes and all those filler words that people use. And you learn how to give a speech. But you can learn how to give a speech. And I always say, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. But you can't fake emotion. And it was my last speech that I've been in it for almost 5 years since I started real estate, right? And I barely figured it out. I finally found out that I gotta let my freak flags fly. Like, I gotta be me, because people like me. Like, they like my emotion and they like my expressions. But you're in a world, right, that always wants to stifle you because it's not professional enough, or that's not what people your age act like, or you're an adult now, you can't be a kid. You know what, you guys? F that, man. This Christmas, when Santa came in the room, I swear I felt like I did kind of feel even stupid myself a little bit, because I got excited like a little kid. It's freaking Santa. Who cares? Like, who cares? Be you. But I'm going to tell you what really did it. So I had to give a speech, and I like to challenge myself. So I told the guy, he's one of my competitors. Nothing wrong with a little healthy competition. I told him, I said, tell me what to talk about today. I want to challenge myself, because I was a backup. They needed a last minute speaker. So I said, tell me what to talk about. I really want to challenge myself. And he kind of laughed. And I said, what's so funny? And he said, I was going to talk about pizza. I said, pizza? And I'm like, because we were having pizza that day. And then I was like, no, like, what am I going to say? And so I filled out my form, and I was going to talk about something totally different, inspire, right? And I get up there, and I said, okay, I'm going to talk about pizza, my love of pizza. So I get up there and I start giving my speech, and I tell everybody how when I was younger, we didn't have a lot of money. So my parents, they paid for a trip for me to go to Italy, and they couldn't afford to pay for themselves to go with me, but they also wanted me to be safe, right? We don't want me to disappear. And they hired a driver for me. So of course I'm scared, I'm terrified. And I go to Italy, and I get off the plane, and I hear, Anita. And I look, and there's this man holding a sign, and it says Anita. And he says, my name is Lorenzo. I'm your driver. It's like, oh, okay. And so he takes me to this quaint little, boutique hotel, and I check into the hotel, and he says, I'll be right outside waiting for you. I'm going to show you the sights, and we're going to have a wonderful time your first day in Italy. You can't miss nothing. You're not missing a thing. And I was like, okay. So of course I'm excited. And again, I'm still nervous, but I'm just in awe of the beauty. And I get back out, and he's like, Anita, let's go. And he puts me in his car. And he's showing me the most beautiful places. And there's grapevines and vineyards, and taking me to the wineries, and just showing me a wonderful time. And he wants to take me to his home the next day to make pizza. And I'm just like, I said, as much as I've loved it, Lorenzo, I said, I don't think I could do that. Like, I barely know you, I've seen Taken, you guys. I don't want to end up missing. Like, I know I may be too old to be trafficked, but I wasn't then, okay? So I was like, yeah, I don't think so, Lorenzo. But, the whole day went by and it was so amazing, right? So I finally tell him at the end of the night, I said, Lorenzo, I'm going to take you up on that offer. I said, I'll go to your house. And so he's like, oh, fabulous. I'm going to pick you up and right in the morning. And 8:00 in the morning, he comes and he picks me up and he's taking me, like, we're driving and we end up at this, like, gorgeous villa. I mean, it's a huge villa. And we're pulling in and I'm really tripping out now because I'm like, okay, this guy's a driver. Like, how does he afford this villa? Now I'm really going to get freaking kidnapped. Like, it's the mansion, these stories you hear about. And so I said, Lorenzo, you live here? And he goes, yeah, this is my home, I said, really? And he says, yeah. He said, I mean, I don't want to sound rude, Lorenzo. I said, but you're a driver. Oh, Anita, I made my money years ago. Like, I do this for fun now, to meet people like you. And it's like, whoa. So, I mean, huge gardens and people and workers. And so we finally end up in the back where they have this huge, pizza oven. And so, we're making pizza. The ladies bring out the dough and we're all making pizza and they're teaching me how to, like, do the thing, and I'm flipping pizza. And then before you know it, like, I'm flipping pizza and they're flipping pizza and you guys, none of this happened, okay? Like, the whole story was fake. Like, I had them thinking that I fell in love and I danced all night. And I mean, and then at the end, I'm like, and none of it's real. And they were like, what? And they're like, but we felt it. Like, we could see it in your face. And I was laughing and I'm like, well, it's because, like, when I was saying it, like, I was feeling it. Like, I really was there. Like, I was there in my imagination, And I thought to myself, well, shit, this is the freaking secret. The secret is being me, being myself, being animated the way I am, the way God made me. Like, he molded me into this person, literally. Like, he made my mom read that book to me. He made my mom put me in modeling. He had her put me in ballet and tap and all these things. And all my life, I thought, like, I was screwed up, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. No, it's jack of all trades, master of none is better than being a master of one. Do all the shit you want to do. Paint that painting. Who cares if you can paint? I'm a great artist. I'm really not. But you know what? Honestly, when I'm done with my painting, I'm like, what the heck? Well, I did that. Like, go buy paints, man. Buy a canvas. A couple hours. Like, it doesn't need to take weeks. It doesn't need, jump out of that plane you wanted to jump out of. Join that group. If you don't know what you want to do, I mean, you have to like something. And if you don't, then you better figure out what it is, because life is pretty dull if you don't have one hobby. I mean, find your hobby. Join a group that has to do with your hobby. Before you know it, you're going to meet more people who love the same thing you love, and a whole new group of friends, and a whole new group of ideas, and a whole new group of, like, people to maybe talk you through something that the other people, don't have any clue about, right? Like, we have to keep moving forward, and we have to keep meeting people, and we have to keep learning, and we have to keep growing, because my dream for you and my wish for you in 2025 is, like, that you never become a stale stream. Because, life is like a stream, right? Sometimes it goes fast. Sometimes it goes slow. But my prayer for you is that you're never stale. Because when you're stale is when the stream starts growing mold and mosquitoes. It starts to stink. And I don't want you to stink, you guys. Like, I want you to flourish. And the way you flourish is to keep learning and to keep growing and to keep feeding your mind positive information, whether it's a kid's book or it's the oh man, one of my best books. I love it. I love it so much. The Game of Life and How to Play It by Lawrence Scovel. I believe is her, that's not her name. Oh, Florence Scovel. I'll find it. Solomon's going to find it for you. But you have to read that book because, I grew up Catholic and I'm telling you, religion messed with my head. Like it really did. I mean, I have a relationship with God now, but it religion, Catholicism, I never prayed to saints. That wasn't like, I hear that about Catholicism. We didn't do that in my church, but it was like having a connection wasn't talked about. The angels weren't talked about. I was always told like it wasn't like not true. Like, like I was always kind of led to believe that I was just out there. And you know what? But I never let anybody keep me from being out there. Like I like it out there because it keeps me happy, man. And you know what? My thinking has always been, I don't give a shit what you believe, but don't F with what I believe. Like my belief has kept me sane this long and I've been through a lot of shit. So if I'm able to stay sane and happy and smiling through all the crap because I believe in angels, then hey, I'm going to believe in angels all day long. And you know what? If your life's going shitty and bad, then I'm going to tell you to call on your angels and start believing in angels and start seeing the signs because you will. And it's going to get better. But if we stay in the shit, you're going to stay in the shit. And it's stinky and sticky. And if you've ever had it on your shoe, it's really hard to get off once it's on. So, avoid the piles. We can avoid the piles because our instincts are strong. And when something is not right for you or someone is not right for you. You do. Your gut will tell you. So just like I was teaching my grandson, I'm not kidding. We woke up, I think Friday morning or just the other morning when he slept over. And I don't know how we got into the conversation, but I said, you know what, Papa? If someone doesn't make you feel good, I said, and they're negative or they're mean to you, I said, you tell them, oh, no, we don't do that negative energy around here. Go away. See you later. Move along. Bye-bye. Move it along. Bye-bye. And I made sure he mastered the move it along. Bye-bye. I said, because we need to keep our energy space safe, you guys. That's another lesson. Look, fleas jump, right? You hang around with dirty, stinky dogs, you're going to get fleas. I don't know if you've ever heard that saying. Well, the reality is it's not fleas they were talking about. It's energy they're talking about because negative energy spews around people. It's their aura. You can feel it. You can see it coming if you're in tune with your energy. So when you feel that negative energy coming around, if you are not in the place to come of service because you have not fed yourself enough positive energy, have not fed yourself enough positive words, positive affirmations, kept yourself in line and in tune, you cannot help somebody else. So you need to remove yourself and you need to find a place where you can get fed. So then in turn, you can feed others. But you can't feed others with an empty cup. So be careful. Because I know when we're growing, right, we all want to teach and we all want to help grow, but we have to make sure that we keep ourselves sane and safe first. Otherwise, you're just going to get depleted. And then you're really going to feel down because we need rest and we need to stay centered and focused. Okay. Next. Keep going. Keep going. That's it. I'm going to end it now because honestly, I told God to take over and I feel like I've really said all I needed to say. And I just need you to keep going because I know you can see my excitement and I know you can see the life in me and the happiness and like the freaking joy to go into 2025 and kill it because I'm not kidding, man. I'm making 2025 my bitch. Mark my words. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking to you because I want you to see it. I want you to know it. I want you to hear it out of my mouth, and I want you to watch it happen, because it's going to happen. Because I need you to watch it happen so you could believe when you say it, and when you believe it, and when you put it out in the universe, you can also make it happen. Okay? So go make it happen, you guys. I love you. Happy New Year. Mwah.
I'm a badass woman. What's wrong with